We moved into this apartment 2 years ago and had no storage. Since many of the walls are slanted, we had to be specific and almost custom with the furniture we did bring into the house. We chose the smaller room as our bedroom, and there was only the Ikea Plasta unit that would fit into our space. The overall design of the house, or my personal taste, is 60s, 70s wabi-sabi, and that meant I didn't really love the pull options that Ikea offered at that time. I wanted something that was a little more flush to the unit, that I wouldn't bump into, and that had more of a natural and calm feeling to match my aesthetic. So I looked at options on Etsy and decided how hard would it be to make my own, so that's what I tried to do. I started by making molds out of cardboard and painter's tape, and I went with organic rounded shapes. Each pull has a unique shape with a rounded edge to counteract the sharp slanted walls. I then made a concrete mix with a hobby concrete from the hardware store. I poured the mixture into the mold up to a centimeter thick and tapped the molds on a table to even out the mixture. Once the mixture was evened out, I quickly put in a screw. Since it's a quick dry concrete, I had to be very quick with putting the screw in the mixture. Once it had fully dried and cured, I unwrapped each mold and lightly sanded out any rough edges and painted over each knob with a layer of polyurethane to seal them and let it dry another 24 hours. Put each knob in a hole in a pizza box to keep the sticky surfaces from touching. I made a quick template with the leftover cardboard to make it easy finding the center of each drawer to drill into. I started making holes in the fronts of the unit and quickly found out that since it's particle board, I made an oopsie and figured I need to put a sacrificial piece of wood clamped to the back of the board so that it doesn't crumble because of the particle board in the back, as you can tell. And once that was done, I made holes in every unit and put the knobs in. Most of the knobs have kept pretty well. I did this about 2 years ago and I'm only making the video now. But a couple have broken, probably from too much pressure when screwing it in, or an incorrect ratio of water to concrete, I'm not sure. But anyway, I decided it's about time that I fix the 2 broken ones so that it looks a little less DIY looking. Also, I didn't love the stark white clinical aspect of the Ikea unit. So in order to make it more my style, I had bought a peel and stick grass cloth to cover the Ikea white. I went with grass cloth to keep it with the theme of like natural and calm. The problem is the grass cloth is fraying, the beige was just not the right shade of beige, the peel and stick isn't sticking anymore. It just overall looks cheap, and I honestly did a pretty bad job of doing the bottom of it. It just looks ick. So I went ahead and ripped it off, and it came off pretty easily, and I'll let you enjoy the sweet sped up peel porn. Did, however, leave a sticky residue on the surface, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be so messy. I sprayed it down with vinegar solution, trying to scrape it off, balled up a piece of aluminum foil to scrape it, and then used a paint scraper. I also sprayed it with isopropyl alcohol, but just decided it was too much work and went with pretending it didn't exist, which you'll see later actually worked out for me. So then I laid 3 layers of samples of fabrics that I could use, looked at what would work best, and ultimately let my partner choose the 60s flower pattern motif that I got from my grandparents' house. It was also used, this motif, as wallpaper in a house, which was really quite cute. Thankfully, I had plenty of fabric of that flower motif, so I laid it out flat in the living room and measured it according to the dresser, scaring the dog in the process, although she seems to approve of the fabric as well. I traced out a straightish line with some chalk and gave it a little snippy snip. I went to lay out the cut to see how it looked on the dresser, and I noticed it was already sticking on the leftover glue, which was a very happy accident. I had planned on rolling some liquid starch or use some carpet tape. I had used liquid starch for gluing fabric on a wall in a previous apartment, and it worked actually wonderfully, but I didn't need to worry about any of that. I just took the lazy approach and used the leftover glue residue. So I just pushed the fabric flat with my hands, avoiding any creases or like folds in the fabric. I cut a little notch on the corner with a tiny pair of scissors, and then got an appropriately sized pair of scissors to cut the corners. And I secured the ends and the corners with some carpet tape on the inside. Since the fabric wasn't long enough to cover the whole unit, the length of the fabric was 230 centimeters and the length of the unit that I needed was 310 centimeters. I had to try and match the pattern. So I aligned the flowers and joined them with some carpet tape and essentially repeated the same process as earlier on this bottom piece. I really struggled getting the liner of the tape off, so I just ended up using tweezers, and that was so much easier and saved me a lot of time. The final result is pretty cute. I find it really nice. Perhaps the wood from the unit is a little too pale for my personal tastes, but that's a later me problem. That'll address that another time.